The NFL draft is an important time for teams to fill in holes and pick up young talent that can be a positive factor for their team's success for years. But it can also be a time that sets your team back if you swing and miss on a bunch of picks. The latter was definitely not the case for the Buffalo Bills' 2018 NFL draft class, as general manager Brandon Beane made the most of his selections. It was a draft class that truly had a bit of everything, from picking up the new face of the franchise to adding players that have been serviceable at the professional level. This draft class was excellent. Welcome back to the Bills Bunker. I'm Jake Varco, and today I'm here to discuss what was one of the best draft classes we've seen in recent memory from the Buffalo Bills back in 2018, obviously being headlined by Josh Allen. There's some other great players that came out of that draft class as well. We're going to break down what went well for this team in that draft class, and let's dive into every player that the Bills selected here. Before we do that, I'd like to take a moment to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more content coming your way. And the draft is under a month away. I'm hyped up. I know you are too. There's going to be plenty of content being released moving forward as we approach the draft, after the draft, and eventually into the new league year. I'm excited. To start off, the Buffalo Bills selected quarterback Josh Allen from Wyoming with the 7th overall pick. And in case you've been living under a rock like Patrick Starr since 2018, this guy's pretty good. Coming out of the draft, there were a lot of question marks about how Allen's game would translate to the NFL level and if he could be accurate enough to become an elite quarterback in the league. I think it's fair to say that he has laid those questions to rest. Allen has completely changed the landscape of football in Buffalo, helping the Bills go from the laughingstock of the league to a serious contender on a yearly basis. He's done this by accumulating over 26,000 total yards and 221 total touchdowns, also becoming the only player in league history to record 40 or more touchdowns in 4 consecutive seasons. Allen is consistently in the MVP discussions, and as long as he's in his prime years with the Bills, their Super Bowl window should remain open. And you might think that drafting Allen in the first round is good, but just wait, because it gets even better. The Bills also added linebacker Tremaine Edmunds with the 16th overall selection in the 2018 NFL Draft, and after being picked up by Buffalo, Edmunds officially became the second youngest player in NFL history to be drafted, being selected at just 19 years, 10 months, and 18 days old. And his age didn't stop Edmunds from making an instant impact in the NFL, as he spent 5 seasons with the Bills from 2018 to 2022, leading the team in tackles in all but 1 year, and he never failed to record more than 100 tackles in a season. He was also named to the Pro Bowl twice over that span of time, which it's a very respectable 5-year span with the team. Edmunds was a true cornerstone piece of the Bills' defense during his tenure in Buffalo, but he played himself out of the price range for the Bills, eventually joining the Chicago Bears during the 2023 offseason, signing a lucrative 4-year contract worth $72 million. That right there is a lot of money. Just imagine how many parlays you'd have to hit to win $72 million. I'd imagine it's a lot. And now we'll move on to the 3rd round, where the Buffalo Bills selected defensive tackle Harrison Phillips, 96th overall. Phillips is currently 28 years old, and he has used his 6'3", 307-pound frame to be a presence up the middle at the defensive tackle position. And obviously with a big body like that, your primary focus is going to be stuffing the run. That's exactly what Phillips has done. He's been a serviceable player since he arrived in the league in 2018, spending 4 seasons with the Bills from 2018 to 2021, and playing in 45 games with the team before signing with the Vikings in 2022. In Minnesota, he's been a key piece of their defensive front, starting in all 34 of the team's regular season games since his arrival in Minneapolis. Now that we're getting into the later rounds of this draft class, I think it's important to remind you that not every player is going to be a massive impact player, and a lot of players selected later in those later rounds don't even make the NFL. So just making the NFL and making some sort of positive impact, that is really what you're looking for at this point. And the next pick that we'll be covering certainly cracked an NFL roster, and he's recently earned himself a 3-year, $31 million contract extension in Buffalo, a contract extension that made him the highest paid nickel corner in the league. The pick that we're talking about is none other than Taron Johnson, who the Bills drafted in the 4th round, 121st overall. Since his arrival in 2018, Johnson has been an impact player on the Bills, and he's potentially the best nickel corner in all of football. He's made some really memorable plays with Buffalo, including a 101-yard pick six in the 2021 divisional round game against Lamar Jackson. And that play right there, that play is one that's worth more than a 4th round pick, because that's going to be ingrained in the memory of Bills fans forever. At the time of this recording, Johnson is just 28 years old, and he still has some solid years ahead of him. He's been great for this Bills team, and any more production beyond this, at this point in time, it's just icing on top of the cake. The Bills' next pick in the 2018 draft was defensive back Saran Neil, who spent 6 seasons with the Bills, but recently joined the Miami Dolphins this offseason. Neil isn't exactly what you would call a fixture on the defensive side of the football. However, he's a contributor on special teams, and he's still in the NFL, which it's not too shabby for a guy that was drafted in the 5th round, 154th overall. And like I just mentioned, anytime that you can get some production from a guy who's drafted in the 5th round or later, you're going to take it, especially if it's 6 years of production on special teams. You'll gladly accept that. And this next guy, this is definitely a steal. However, the steal didn't last long for Buffalo. And that guy I'm referring to is offensive guard Wyatt Teller, who was another 5th round pick by Brandon Beane, selected 166th overall. Beane really had the right idea with this pick, but he missed the mark by trading Teller to the Cleveland Browns after starting just 7 games with the Bills. And it's fair to say that this trade is one that Brandon Beane would love to have back, because Teller, he's been a force in the trenches with the Browns since his arrival in Cleveland. He's been named to 3 Pro Bowls, and he's played in 75 games with the team to date. Teller didn't last in Buffalo because of that trade, and it's a trade that Brandon Beane would obviously love to have back. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, but this was a great job of, really, the scouting department did a great job finding Wyatt Teller, finding that value in the 5th round, being named to 3 Pro Bowls since his arrival in the NFL. Obviously, that's a really solid addition. It's just unfortunate the Bills traded him, but you can't take it away from the draft class, because we're talking about the draft class itself, and that right there is a massive steal. With their 6th round selection, Buffalo picked Ray McLoud, 187th overall. And McLeod, he hasn't been fantastic in the NFL, but he's been serviceable. He only spent 1 season in Buffalo before making stops in Carolina, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, and now he's joined the Atlanta Falcons. McLeod has never had more than 300 yards of receiving in a single season, and he's yet to record 1,000 receiving yards in his career, but he's found himself a role as a returner. McLeod uses his speed to return punts and kicks, which is still something that's valuable to teams around the league, especially when you take a look at the new kick return format that will be implemented during the 2024 season. Ray McLoud played in the Super Bowl in 2023, where his 49ers fell victim to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, which definitely sucks for him. But just by reaching the game, he's accomplished more than 99% of the worldwide population. And for that, he deserves some recognition. He's gone from a 6th round pick to having a respectable career and making a Super Bowl appearance, which is some pretty impressive stuff. And that brings us to our final player, Austin Proehl, who never made an appearance in the NFL as a 7th round selection back in 2018. He made some stops on a few different practice squads around the NFL before joining the St. Louis Battlehawks of the UFL. So when you look back at the draft class from 2018 for the Buffalo Bills, obviously Proehl is the only player not to make an NFL roster, but that 7th round pick, whatever, a lot of those 7th round picks don't make an NFL roster. Ray McLoud, he was gone rather quickly too, but he's still in the NFL. The picks really that I want to highlight here: Josh Allen, face of the Buffalo Bills franchise. Tremaine Edmunds, he was a cornerstone piece of the Bills defense for years. You have Wyatt Teller over with the Cleveland Browns. 3-time Pro Bowl offensive lineman, and I'm sure he's going to be a Pro Bowl again. As long as he can stay healthy, he's someone who could have a fantastic career for quite some time. Taron Johnson, one of the best, if not the best, nickel corner in all of football. You'll take that anytime you can as a 4th round selection. I think what we saw in the 2018 draft class by the Bills was excellent. You got face of your franchise Josh Allen, a cornerstone piece, in Tremaine Edmunds, both in the 1st round. Then you had some great late round value with guys like Taron Johnson, guys like Harrison Phillips, and then Wyatt Teller as well. Like, there were so many great players that were selected in the later rounds, and that's something I'd love to see the Bills try to replicate in the upcoming 2024 NFL draft. Obviously, they have 11 picks in this draft, so they could use all of them. They could trade up again. That remains to be seen. But whatever does happen, this right here, the 2018 draft class, this is something that the Bills would love to replicate, and we'll see if they can do it. I'll be right here on the Bills Bunker, making more videos like this as we approach the draft. And let me know, what other type of content do you want to see? I hope you liked this video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, click that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more content coming your way right here on the Bills Bunker. I'm Jake Varco. Go Bills.